A lot of agencies, and I'm sure you've mentioned some of them, have roles to play when it comes to some of these issues, be it erosion, be it flooding, even the disaster management. How is this commission supposed to fit with all this?
Thank you. It's going to make their job a lot more easier. Okay. It's going to strengthen the processes.
So it's not coming to take any away? Or
no, not necessarily taking any away. It's going to harmonize what they are doing and make sure that they are embarking on their jobs based on clear policies and procedures in such a way that things are harmonized and you can make even predictions. We are going to, this law is going to help us to set clear targets, achievable targets, and to measure to what extent we have attained those targets under one umbrella. Is it clear?
All right.
As against people operating in silos and not having the ability to be able to measure what they have been able to achieve.
But it will be working under the ministry, which ministry? Ministry of Environment?
Environment acts as the, maybe more or less like the secretariat.
Okay.
Okay, because the National Climate Change Agency will function through the ministry, but it's going to act as the secretariat of the National Council on Climate Change.
Okay, now one issue that I know has been of concern to a lot of Nigerians has been the issue of our recurrent expenditure in yearly budgets. And this comes to a head actually when you think about how many, the staff strength, the number of agencies in the public service. And so when this is being proposed, I know this is not the only one being proposed. There's also a bill before the House of Reps from a fellow honorable member that is for Erosion Control and Prevention Commission bill. Now, is it not possible to have set up a department or somewhere in the ministry to do this same thing without going through the trouble of setting up another agency and incurring more cost? If we go the way it's going now, we might even have two agencies, the Climate Change Commission and the Erosion Prevention and Control Commission.
Well, it's important for us actually to look at recurrent expenditure, and everyone talks about that. Yeah. But this is something that is evolving. Okay. That's one point I want to take away. And second, erosion is part of the climate change issues that we're talking about. And a few other ones, pollution and things like that. But like I said from the outset, some of these things were not, properly harmonized. Yes. And the reason is simple. Like I said, they are just, it's an evolutionary thing. They're just evolving and all that. However, the climate change law act that we are working to achieve, of course, you know that globally, this is the direction the world is going, to achieve sustainable development, to attain green economy, and to ensure that we save more lives. I talked about actions being taken in silos, in isolated cases and all that. But the law that we're about to really achieve, which is a major target, let me take this opportunity to say that the National Assembly as a whole, in this case, the chairman of the National Assembly, His Excellency, Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki CON, and the Speaker of the House, His Excellency Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, they are on the same page on this matter. Now, why? If you look back to the inaugural speech of Mr. President, he started talking about climate change. And in almost all his visits outside Nigeria, he talked about issues of climate change and how Nigeria is going to take, a front seat in containing the devastating effects of climate change. Now, how do you do that? Do you do that just through verbalizing it and coming back home to sit down? In fact, that's part of the concern that we have, that Mr. President has gone around the world and made these very strong, lofty declarations and commitments, up to the extent of signing the climate change accord in September last year in New York, and then ratifying the same and depositing with the United Nations. Now, having done that, are the actions coming from these isolated agencies that I talked about, are they enough? Have they been able to prove that we are taking verifiable, practical actions to match the lofty declarations of Mr. President? The answer is no. That's why there's need for an umbrella agency supported right from the top. Because a meeting that's chaired by the Vice President is almost like a council that's chaired by Mr. President. So there's an effort to ensure that these things are done and costs will be reduced eventually. Because if you streamline these operations, like I said, to mainstream these things into national development, once you do this and do them successfully, you would find that you would perhaps not be needing too many of such agencies if they are captured.
I would just like to understand, obviously there might be similar bills that will be coming, just as I've told you, there's the Erosion Control Prevention Commission. We could have something on Pollution Control Commission again. Is there going to be a way to ensure we don't duplicate some of these functions and make sure that all these bills come, since they will still be, there are actions that will be taken care of by this Climate Change Commission agency?
I get your concern. Some of these agencies were established. Maybe while ideas of climate change and things that were being discussed. I do hope that going forward, there'll be a thorough in-house assessment of things that are supposed to come, and both from the executive and the legislature, to ensure that we streamline our operations. And like I said, if you have an umbrella body, it's going to be a lot easier, especially when you set targets that are nationally monitored and whatever attainments you have accepted.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.